Substitute teaching is tough. And to be honest, it is the hardest job I have ever had. You walk into a classroom where the students don't know you. There may even be a seating chart. And the lesson plans, well, they're less than ideal. And to top that all off, students are going to test you. They're going to push your buttons and try to get you to respond in a negative way. But with all of those struggles, I'm here to tell you there are certain things you can do, certain steps you can take to make sure that you get called back for future substitute jobs. As a substitute teacher, you're not just fulfilling a vacancy, you're stepping into a classroom that can be chaotic, confusing, and very challenging. I've been there, and I know the struggle is real. So without saying any more about how hard it is, if your goal, though, is to get as many jobs as possible and to be hired back time and time again, I'm going to give you some actionable steps you can do to make sure that you go to the top of the list when it comes time for job vacancies. Number one is to show up with positive energy. That can be rough, especially if you're going to a new school. You're probably going to be nervous because you don't know exactly how the systems work there and how the classroom works and everything else and the policy. So you might come there with a little nervousness, and that's understandable. And maybe you had a rough day and the job itself is very taxing. Understandable. But I'm telling you, when you bring that positive energy, you stand out. When you bring that positive energy and you're able to talk to the other staff or to the people at the office or the person telling you where to go, you're going to stand out. The reason that, or the fact that it is such a very hard job, when someone has that positive energy, they automatically go to the top of the list. So what does that look like for you? Now, it doesn't mean that you're overly crazy. And I'll be honest with you, as far as personalities go, you can never tell because I do these YouTube videos, but as far as personalities go, I'm very quiet, really reserved, and I do not say much outside of my classroom. So it takes a little bit more effort for me to be positive, I guess. Not positive, but to be more outspoken. But that positive energy, no matter how you are, personality-wise, can come through. So always make sure you bring that to the job regardless of what is going on. And that is definitely going to help you get called back for future jobs. The second thing, this should go without saying, is show up on time. In fact, I would show up early. Because here's the thing, if you're just walking into a classroom right when the bell rings, you are not going to be prepared. I mean, you have to turn things on. You got to look at the lesson plan. You got to think of what needs to take care of. You may even have to make some copies possibly, but you're going to it takes a while to get prepared. As a teacher, we have a prep period so we can prepare things. As a substitute teacher, you want to give yourself, I would say about half an hour just to get, used to what that classroom runs like and how it is and where things are at. So I would say not only do you arrive on time, arrive half an hour earlier, just one for the job, but also for yourself. So that way you can go into that classroom better prepared. Number three, manage behavior the best that you can. Now, I'm telling you the reality, I've been doing this 20-something years, but I cover classes. And it's amazing, even when I cover classes, and the students know me, I have them in my class, but I cover another class, the students will try to push my buttons. They will challenge me, right? Just because it's a different scenario, a different situation, and different environment. And if that happens to me, I guarantee that's going to happen to you when you come into a classroom. So your responsibility, though, is try to manage behavior the best that you can. Now, what does that mean? Do your very best not to send students out, but don't be nervous about sending students out. And that's part of the reason you want to get used to school, and maybe even why you want to arrive early to the school. It's just to understand what the expectations are. If there's students that are out of control in your class, yeah, definitely send them out. But if a student is maybe just not working your class, I wouldn't do it. Or if a student is maybe talking a little bit, I wouldn't do it. I would send students out that are really pushing the envelope and creating an unsafe environment. Those are the ones that I would send out of the class. The rest of it, you got to do your best to manage the classroom. And the more you do this, the more you're in the class, and the better you are at practicing classroom management, the easier it's going to get. But it's still going to be very difficult. And so keep that in mind, that classroom management, do what you can, manage the best you can. And if you ever want assistance on that, please reach out to me. I'll do the best I can to help you out with that. But once again, if there's situations, feel free to send them out. But otherwise, do the best you can to manage the behavior in the class. The fourth thing is follow lesson plans as closely as possible. And I should have a little caveat here, if there even is a lesson plan. You know, oh man, as a substitute, that's the worst thing. To cover a class, or as a substitute, you go there and there's no seating chart. Oh, that is awful when there's no seating chart. How can you hold kids accountable with no seating chart, right? And then there's a lesson plan that is complicated, or maybe no lesson plan at all. That is so unfair. But regardless, whatever the situation is, you have to deal with it the best you can. And so with that said, carry out the lesson plan as best as you can. Because ultimately what happens is the way you get called back for future jobs is if a teacher leaves a positive report about you, or if a teacher recommends you, or even if admin recommends you, that's when you're going to get more jobs. And so you want to make sure that you do what you can to make the teacher's life easier. That doesn't mean, just tolerate everything, but just do what you can. If the teacher put the time into creating a lesson, do what you can to carry it out. It may not always be smooth, but the better job you do at that, the more happy teachers are going to be, which results in more callbacks. And number 5, and this is probably the most underrated thing you can do, but as a teacher, I'm telling you, this makes a difference. At the end of the day, just take 5-10 minutes and clean up the room. I mean, that's it. Put things back where they belong. Clean desk off. Maybe pick up the major trash from the floor. Make sure nothing is broken. Everything is where it belongs. As a teacher, one of the biggest concerns we have as teachers is coming back to a classroom that is just looks like a tornado went through it, right? But if we come back and we see that everything is intact where it should be and where we left it, that's a good feeling. And so, as simple as this is, I mean, you could have the worst day possible. If you just take 5-10 minutes at the end of the day to kind of just put things back in order, that is going to send a huge message that you are doing everything you can to make that a successful classroom for students as well as for teachers. That is it, my 5 tidbits of advice. Make sure you have the right attitude. Make sure you do what you can for the classroom management. Show up on time. Take care of the lesson, and keep the room clean. And I promise you, you're going to get more callbacks than you have done before.